Good afternoon and welcome, everybody. This would be the Jeff Cameron Show right here on 93.3 Real Talk Radio, Warchant TV. Happy Thanksgiving. We said it before Thanksgiving on Tuesday. Say it again after Thanksgiving. It's Thanksgiving week. It's also Libations Friday. I got to tell you, it will be a Libations Friday today. It will be. There are some beers in danger at the Cameron household. They are nervous, as I was pretty clean cut, solid as a rock yesterday. I had one Guinness yesterday. That will not be the case today. Today is let's get it on Friday.
Good for you, man.
How are you, Tommy? Happy Thanksgiving, buddy.
Happy Thanksgiving, man. I did have a Guinness myself, but my sister wanted to do a wine taste testing of two of the Italians that I brought down.
Nice.
So you end up doing a taste test. I mean, that's 3 glasses later, but that was around 6 o'clock that was done. And
early in the evening, yeah.
Put the kibosh on it because the wake-up call was 4:40 this morning. And the roads, I will tell you, delightfully empty. That's a great time of morning, great time of day to drive. It was 34 in Crystal River this morning as I drove through. 34.
I was walking the dogs when you texted me this morning, and I was impressed by your early rising because I knew you had to drive and I knew you were going to get up early, but I thought he's texting me at 5:34 or something, whatever it was in the morning. And I was actually listening to music while walking Mike at that time. And I needed to come back in and make coffee and do some other things before I got back to you, which I did. But I have to tell you, it was freezing cold here in Tallahassee, and it was wonderful. It was wonderful. It really shaped my day. I knew we were going to be recording a show for today. And a lot of times we really need to start taking this day off, but it is the
we
day.
Say it every year.
Yeah, I know.
But it's Florida week. It's just a crime that this week has been rendered irrelevant by our play, but then also the holiday always screws this week up, which is kind of annoying too.
It does, but our play has really screwed this week up, and their play has really screwed this week up. The two programs are such a far cry from where they should be. Now, I don't care about Florida's plight to be. I care about ours. But in truth, if we're looking big picture, these two programs shamefully match up with one another tomorrow in a game that the nation could rightfully point a finger at and scoff. And it pisses me off, not, again, because of their plight, but ours. I do hate watching the chatter and listening to and seeing the things that are posted surrounding this game. Okay, fine. Look, the reason that people take such great pleasure in Florida State's misfortunes, and for that matter, Florida's or Miami's when they happen, is because the state ruled the sport of college football for the better part of 30 years. This is where a tiny bit of football state pride kicks in, having played football in this state. It kind of bothers me a little bit when people point and say, hey, I'm like, yeah, where did all your good players come from? This effing state, bitch. And also, by the way, let's just hold our horses here. The only reason you guys are pointing at the 3 big schools in this state and laughing at them is because for so long you were terrorized by them. So I get it. It's big news when these two programs aren't any good. What I don't like, if I remove myself from that larger picture discussion, is that we are pretty consistently now being laughed at for our misfortunes and the ridiculousness surrounding the inability and inaction to make sure that we rectify the situation has led to further consternation, frustration, and growing apathy. And that bothers me as we sit here on a Libations Friday, because I recognize that in the third hour, you and I are going to be talking about Florida State, Florida, like it matters. And that sucks because it doesn't, and it always should.
I would agree that the apathy started weeks ago. I can remember talking to one of our sponsors, bottom left of the screen, Matt from Above and Beyond VR.com. He was watching the Virginia Tech game, and he said, was it just you? Or like when we scored, did you not feel anything? I was like, or just me? I said, nah, that's the hard part here. Even in victory, even against Wake, when you're blowing them out in the second half, you're like, oh, okay, that's fine.
Yeah.
You feel about it the way I felt last year when we blew out that one team we played in November in a 2-10 season. It just, the needle doesn't move. And so it has to be about hope for whatever it is they're going to do away from the football field to help the product on the football field get better. And I don't mean installing jumbotrons and nice plush mesh back seats on the west side. I'm talking about things that can materially impact the roster, things that can impact the way they are developed, the way they're scouted, all of that. And it stinks. We should be talking about a team that achieved the goal of setting and resetting the floor of what is possible here. We should be talking about how Deuce Robinson is on his way potentially to 1,100 plus yards receiving, and talk about perhaps that Chroma had the freshman season we were all hoping for. But for myriad reasons, while Deuce contributed those numbers, in reality, you got ifs, ands, qualifiers, buts, hopefullys, none of the active verbs that you love when you talk about your college football team, which is we are killing people, or we're awesome here, or we're going to be strong there next year. Everything is a hypothetical. Everything is an if. Everything's a wait and see. And it was that way during the purgatory period from Stanford till after NC State. And it still feels that way right now because you don't know who's making the next decisions that are going to shape the football program outside of and above where Mike Norvell is on the pecking order. And that sucks right now. So I think it'll be like this for most people. I know it will be for me. Once you switch your television set on, 4:30 tomorrow on ESPN2, and you do see those uniforms, or at 4:15 and they show you the live, warm-up stuff that's going on in the field, and you see those two uniforms clash, something will happen, and then that game is going to matter. But it should matter 4 days ago. It should matter 4 weeks ago. And it just hasn't so often in the last 10 to 15 years mattered before you kick the game off. And that's tough, man, because this is the one that I grew up with. This is my Miami day for you. You always look at that matchup as the one where you have a little extra pizzazz. For me, Florida has always been that. And until the last 5 or 6 years, it always was that. But now when there is a headline matchup between Florida State and Florida, it feels special because it's rare. And it should never be that way. I totally agree with you.
Frustrating. Listen, I've always cared deeply about Florida State, Florida. It just, as you say, depending on the era that you grew up in or when you went to school or when you got addicted to Florida State football, it's affected by, the outcomes of that very precarious time in your life. And for me, it was Miami. Florida always mattered. I went to many a Florida State, Florida game with my dad, been to many in the swamp. I wish desperately that it mattered again. And I tell you, I'm going to have to fight this. I'm going to have to fight for the foreseeable future, a empty feeling that you're describing when we talk about Florida State, not because of a lack of love and passion for them, but because of that love and passion for them, the inability to make the moves that they needed to make. And this growing sense that they were never going to make the moves is really quite aggravating, to the point where it brings up an instant tinge of disdain and real anger. I want to be shown in the very near future that we are not being placated and lied to, but I suspect we are being placated and lied to.
It could very well be. It could very well be. The hard part is I just was reflecting on the last 15 years or so of this game, and maybe 2 of them you felt like they were on even footing or there were stakes for both teams, that they were traveling in at least some sort of parallel direction. And I'll rapid fire it. 2010, they weren't, because we were about to take over the state and Urban Meyer was about to fake a heart attack or at least, lean on that and talk about spending time with family until he went in the booth. 11 was the Sean Powell game. Not interesting in terms of aesthetically, but it was fun because we went down there. We should have shut him out. 12, 5 turnovers. And that's one of those examples where both teams had something on the line. There was a free natty out there for whoever got to play Notre Dame in the title game. And we had 5 turnovers. We lost that game. 13, once we realized that no PI was going to be called, that's a blowout. 2014 was only going to be interesting because we had hard times putting teams away, and James played awfully in 2014, but Dalvin Cook was on the team.
There's a lot going on there.
2015, Dalvin Cook. 2016, Dalvin Cook. End of story. 2017, this was the same scenario that we're in right now. Can we keep bowl eligibility alive? Jimbo's about to leave because he's taking the A&M game. 18 was a joke. We were in the Champions Club for that one. 19 was a joke. You're into COVID. You don't play. I mean, you transport all the way to Jordan Travis in 2022 when they were dropping passes left and right, and he put the team on his back. That kind of felt like the only other example in the last 15 years where they were kind of ish on even footing. 23 was only even because Jordan got injured. I mean, really, I just went back 15 years in time, and there hasn't been a game between these two rivals that feels anything remotely close to the way it did in the 90s. And I'm ignoring, of course, my undergrad for the lost decade, because most of those years was a no contest before the game was kicked off either. So you're almost going back 20 years where you've got 2 or 3 examples of this game really having the attention of the national college football spotlight. And it certainly is it's an anonymous game tomorrow as well.
I think of 2 games that come to mind for 2 very different reasons in this rivalry and my place in terms of feelings and emotions heading into the stadium, where I was at mentally, etc. One of them infuriated me, and I never wanted to feel that way again. And to some extent, I haven't. But I remember specifically the year that Tebow came here. It's the famous face paint game, like they try to pretend it's blood and all that other nonsense.
2008. Yeah.
That game enraged me before they ever kicked off. As I walked into the stadium, I knew what every Nole knew, was that there was a 0% chance Florida State could win the game, and that in all likelihood, not only would Florida State not win the game, but that Tim Tebow would be credited with some sort of dominant Herculean great performance in a rivalry game because nobody on our team could tackle him. Hell, nobody in the SEC could tackle him. And we were particularly inept that year. And I knew that that was going to be a bloodbath before the game ever started. And then I was gaslighted by a guy who I'll back off here. We know what I was about to say. The guy telling you about the Christian ways, screaming at fans and getting up and taunting players after every play. Okay. Anyhow, so that guy and that situation, I was enraged. I knew what was going to happen, and then it happened. And then it happened in an even more special way to make me even angrier. Anyhow, that pissed me off. The antithesis of that is walking into the swamp in 1993 with my stepdad to see Dunn and to see Ward and to see the moments in the celebration and all of it, right? I mean, that as special as it gets, and remembering the plays and the pelvic thrust and all of it. I mean, I had so much fun, but there was so much on the line.
Yep.
And that feeling that it was all slipping away, that these dastardly bastards were going to rise up and steal what is ours. And then that play happens and all of it.
Right. Much like they did 4 years later, steal what was ours.
97, and I was there for that.
Yeah, well, I mean, and we play them back-to-back Sugar Bowls, and we all know that, they got the second crack at it when
96 is nonsense, yes.
Of course they did. But that's when I was growing up, right there. Spurrier, the ultimate enemy, the ultimate villain, and obviously what we did. The fifth quarter game was awesome because of the choke at Doak, so you had that element too. I mean, those were heady times, and even in the late 90s.
Tom, you're exactly right. Those were heady times. I was at the choke at Doak. I remember as I'm walking in, there's so many moments of times walking down Pensacola Street before the renovations where you would walk under the tunnel and do all the things. And I can still remember walking on a crisp, cool day and having a cold beer in my hand and looking at my buddy Steven and that anticipatory smile of, can you believe? Let's get it on, baby. Here we go. And there was so much at stake. By the way, historically, professionally for me, one of the great moments of my life professionally is I got to do a joint broadcast with David Lamb and Frank Frangie and me and Rick Ballou, and I was covering Florida State along with Rick in Gainesville outside the Purple Porpoise for the live broadcast while Frangie and Lamb were doing it for Florida, and we all teamed up and did this joint broadcast with huge sponsors that were broadcast in Jacksonville and Tallahassee. It was phenomenal, and I remember the vibe then. And to have this game mean dick all is really, really, really not okay. But that's where we're at.
That's where we've been for a long time. Now, in those last 15 years, it has been a non-starter because we've been dominant. So it has traded hands, but it's going to happen. The game's going to kick off, and it's going to happen. And when it does, you'll feel a certain way. But it should have a 364-day feel leading up to game day, and it hasn't had that in some time.
It does not. Lee Sterling going to join us next. Paramount Sports does so every Friday. Hour 2, we'll see my mom. Hour 3 will serve as the pregame show for Tom and I. We'll find a way to muster up focus and talk about that game and what could be. It's Jeff Cameron Show, 93.3 Real Talk Radio, Warchant TV. Look at these hollow socks. See this? Hollow socks. These are the boot cut. This is the boot cut hollow sock right here. I will tell you, I took these out of the package because I'm going to wear them later. They're not the boot cut. These are alpaca, something to do with alpaca's performance socks. I've got these hollow socks that they sent me. Let me tell you something right now. I don't say yes to all the endorsements. I don't. But when Tom told me that Hollow Socks wanted to send me some socks, the boot cut, I got the compression sock, I've got the everyday active sock, I've got all the different kinds of socks. I'm not an expert on socks. All I asked Tom was, are these fine folks that are sending me socks, hollow socks, are they comfortable? Are these good socks? And he said, well, I don't know, but they're going to send them to you and you get to try them. And if you don't want to talk about them, then we'll say no. But if you like the socks, then make sure you talk about them. So I'm talking about them because I love them. They're comfortable. They're great. I wore a pair on Monday to work out. That's the true test. When I work out, I got to have comfortable socks. You can't be out there sweating in uncomfortable socks or having them feel weird in your shoe. Not only they did not feel weird in my shoe, they felt great. They felt comfortable. They felt supportive. They felt like I should be working out in them. They're really, really good socks. And I think most of you watching this are like, all right, I like a good pair of socks. Socks are underrated. I mean, I know people who spend all kinds of money on socks, and at the end of the day, you really can't tell the difference. I could tell the difference with these socks. I like them. That's why I showed them off to the camera. I think you'll like them too. They've got socks for camping. They've got socks for hiking. They've got socks for hunting. Hunting's not my cup of tea, but if I were hunting, I'd like these big old thick long ones that go to your knee, right? Especially when it's cold outside. They've sold over 2 million pairs of socks. So a lot of people are just like me saying, I'm down with the socks. I like the everyday socks and the compression socks. Those are my two favorite. For a limited time, Hollow Socks is having a buy two, get two free sale. Head to hollowsocks.com today to check it out. Hollowsocks.com for up to 50% off your order. After your purchase, they'll ask you where you heard about them, and you can support the Jeff Cameron Show by saying, I heard about the Hollow Socks in the Jeff Cameron Show. Look at that. Do it. Go to hollowsocks.com. Get you some hollow socks. Get those alpacas. They're good. Welcome in. Happy Thanksgiving, everybody. We did not want today's show, recorded as it is on a Libations Friday post-Thanksgiving, to go by without having Lee Sterling here to join us. And so we welcome him in now. Paramount Sports, Lee Sterling. Lee, happy Thanksgiving. I hope it was a great one for you. I know every year, and maybe this year's different, you'll have to tell me. We went small this year. You never do. There's always like 20 or 30 people from what I can remember. Every time you have a Thanksgiving, you like invite the block. It's incredible. Was that the same this year?
Yeah, we had 32 this year.
Go.
And then,
there you go.
Then we invite the whole neighborhood, whoever wants to come by, and also family and friends to watch the turkey bake-off. And it's between my oldest daughter, Sydney. This is the 21st year we found out.
Wow.
So it started when they were 7 and 5. And obviously my wife used to help the first couple years because they're 7 and 5 years old. Don't want any fires or things like that. Oh, I will say though, I used when they were little, I noticed that especially my oldest Sydney, she would literally, and the other one too, they would literally have their spoons and they would eat like a third of the pie, the mix and everything. That's why I think they were so into making it. So the oldest one makes a banana cream pie.
Nice.
And my youngest makes a huckleberry pie.
Ooh, okay.
You ever had huckleberry?
I have, but that's rare. That is really rare.
Well,
but it's delicious.
It's rare because they only come from 5 states. I think Oregon, Washington State, Idaho, Wyoming,
Montana. I had a huckleberry shake in Montana and a huckleberry pie in Idaho.
And what would you rate them on a scale 1 to 10?
9 or 10. They're delicious. They're unbelievable.
Insane. And I'm everything. I'm all about berries.
Me too. It's a weird pivot, but Miami is playing Pitt. And look, the line of scrimmage says Miami should win the game.
Yeah.
The weather might say Pitt's going to win the game. You tell me which side you're choosing.
I should let you do the game. I think the weather is more important.
Yeah. Okay. All right.
So I got a pullover on this morning. It was like 66 degrees this morning.
Oh, you folks in Miami are frigid. It's the poor iguanas are going to fall from the trees again.
I found one in my pool, Jeff. One in my pool this morning. I'm not kidding. A dead iguana in my pool.
I believe it.
So these kids are not ready for this. This is only the second time. The other time I think was 64, 65 in the morning. It was mid-70s in the afternoon. I heard they put the AC up in the indoor practice facility, but what can they make it? Low to mid-50s?
Right.
Almost every single time. I think Miami 2 or 3 years ago beat Boston College. Maybe 3 or 4 years ago. 4 years ago.
Freezing, yeah.
Right before Mario came in against BC up there in a meaningless game, and BC was almost as bad as they are this year. I think it was like a 45-31 game, something like that. But the bottom line is these Miami kids, 90 to 95% of the time, anything under 40 degrees, they're cooked. I mean, if you remember it was one of the bowl games, the Sun Bowl, where it started off. It was like,
is that the one in El Paso where it was freezing? Yeah.
It was like mid-60s to start. It ended up in the teens, literally within 2 hours, snowing heavily. Miami got destroyed. These kids are just not built to play in this kind of weather. So I think the ACC, would you agree the ACC would love for Miami to be in the
of course
ACC
they would.
championship game or in the playoff?
Of course they would. They don't want to see Virginia get it.
SMU, I agree.
Yeah.
So I think Mason Henschel, I think can do some damage here. If you look at the matchup, they're going to throw the football a bunch. Keontae Scott, the number one cornerback from Miami, number one, I think at one point before he got injured, like 2-3 weeks ago, was number one rated cornerback from Pro Football Focus. He's out for the year. I think that this is a Pitt call. Take Pitt +7. I would put half your wager on Pitt plus the points and half on the money line.
You know, Lee, I'm going to have more faith than you do, and you love the Canes, and I hate them. But I think you're going to line up and run the ball. I think you can run the ball. This is a classic matchup.
Well, you think Miami should run the ball?
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. I agree.
Miami should line up and run the ball.
Yeah.
I mean, and they can against this Pitt defense. They should line up and run the ball. We'll see if they do. We'll see if Mario's smart enough. But he's
and Jeff, I didn't even talk about the Mario factor.
Yeah.
I mean, can you imagine? Can you imagine if they're like down, let's say 6?
Oh, he'll choke.
Like 6-7 minutes to go in the game. He's the type, and sometimes he goes by the book, but he's the type. Whatever decision he makes is the wrong one.
Well, a lot of times, if it has to do with clock management, it's definitely the wrong one. But clock management's terrible.
Yeah. But on top of that, and he just seems to always make the wrong decision. Just doesn't have a feel for the game.
No, he doesn't have a great feel for the game. But he's a former offensive lineman who should have a feel that they need to run the ball down Pitt's throat this week. Florida and FSU, I think you probably begrudgingly put this on the sheet. I don't think you really want to talk. I don't think you actually want to talk about Florida and FSU. Look, I don't care what the line is. This is completely about who you think cares to play the game at all.
Yeah.
And I think this might be a battle between two teams that don't care to play each other at all. All. Maybe it changes because you know this, Lee. You played, I played. When you do take the field, no matter how you felt during the week leading up to it, when the two colors come out of those tunnels and they see one another, perhaps we get us a game. Perhaps they play like they should have played for the better portion of the year. I don't know if it's that way in modern football anymore where everybody is a mercenary, but I do wonder, can we get us a game here? That line's moved back and forth. At one point, Florida State was favored. Florida was then favored by 2, down to basically a pick 'em. Who you got?
All right. So I set my TV schedule. I'm going to set it in about 30 minutes, and I'll decide which games I put on my 3 main TVs and on my computer.
I'm going to guess Florida and FSU is not one of them at 4.
Not one of them. I'm looking at right now. There's not a chance in the world I would watch this game live. Maybe I want to watch Army and UTSA before that.
Lee,
or Cincinnati, TCU.
At this point, I would watch James Madison and Coastal Carolina over this game.
All right.
Yeah,
this isn't about matchups. This is about, like you said, who cares? You are spot on today, Jeff. Maybe because you did. Maybe I had too much tryptophan yesterday. So I was in that chair by like 7:30, 8 o'clock.
Oh yeah. Hey, at least we got good NFL games yesterday. Those 2 of the 3 were great.
Yeah, they were. I agree.
Yeah, 2 or 3 were great.
I think Florida cares more. Why do I say that? I think these kids for Florida State are thinking we're stuck with Mike Norvell for another year. Are you kidding me? At least hope is important, right, Jeff?
Yeah.
And I think Florida has a little bit of hope. Let's discuss just for a second. Who do you think? Do you think the job was offered to Eli?
Oh, Drinkwitz?
Yeah.
Well, listen, I had an agent tell me Drinkwitz wanted the job, so if it was, I think he would have taken it.
Oh, well, he just took more money. So
yeah, he ended up taking more money because I don't.
So
do you think is Lane taking the Florida or the LSU job?
I think he's taking the LSU job. I think Jed Fish is going to Florida.
Yeah, I agree with you that it's going to be Jed Fish, and I don't think Florida fans are going to be happy about that.
So the guy, I have a lot of good contacts in Seattle. He is not well liked there. He is one of these guys. You know, his wife and kids are still living in Arizona. You know that?
Right. Yeah. I'm not surprised. Yeah.
I just think that he's one of these guys that jumps every 3 or 4 years.
They were looking to wow. They went from Lane Kiffin to Jed Fish.
Let me say this about Lane Kiffin. I know we're going off here on some different tangents.
Yeah.
I don't think Lane Kiffin's that great.
No, either does my producer, Tom Lang. Listen, I think he's good, and I think we live in a world where there are no more iconoclastic coaches. Yeah. So you have a couple of guys that are – now, listen, Lane has improved his stock immensely in the last 5 years because he stopped drinking all the time and being a belligerent off the field. Right. He got his life together. So I think he's more attractive to a lot of people in that way. But, yeah, no, I don't think he's a be-all, end-all.
I think he's okay. I think he's a little above average. That's it.
Well, then Florida will be happy they didn't get him.
Yep.
Did you take Florida?
I'm taking Florida here. I say they're going to win the game 30 to the line's 2.5.
Yeah, 2.
30 to 26.
All right, it's a war. Dolphins, Saints, in a game that nobody should ever have to watch unless they're paid. But the Dolphins are going to go ahead and win it because that's what they do. They go ahead and screw you over and over and over again by winning meaningless games and costing themselves a chance at a good player.
God, you're spot on. 3 for 3.
So, are they gonna? Would you lay the 5.5?
I'm gonna have to go with whatever you had. I eat light on Thanksgiving next year. So the Saints, they couldn't even get handoffs straight last week.
That's correct.
And the Dolphins, like I said, win these meaningless games that mean absolute nothing. I was offered by 2 friends tickets to the game, and one has a box. Biggest problem when you go to a box, they've got hot dogs, they've got chili.
Yeah, they don't have any atmosphere. Yeah.
No good food. The other one has a decent tailgate, and I said, "What are you having there?" They're like, "We're going with subs." I'm like, subs? You'd have to offer me like surf and turf to get me to go. Dolphins 30 to 20.
Jags Titans. You know what makes me laugh about this game is that should be an easy win for the Jags. And why do I get a feeling it won't be? Why do I think we're going to be sitting here watching this game going, damn, the Jags could lose to the Titans? They ought not. They ought to kill the Titans. That Titans team is terrible. But I don't know that I want to lay 6 or 7 points. If it's still that high, I haven't checked this morning. If it's still that high, I would take the Titans. Would you?
Yeah. We had 3 underdogs win in the NFL yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
I just don't trust Lawrence at quarterback. And I think Liam Cohen's going to move on from him next year. Their running game is improved. Their offensive line's better. But, I think this is a backdoor cover or a game that goes down to 1 possession game. Jags, they're going to win the game 27-24. Titans cover.
So the Bucs spread has moved a lot. I think that's there's a sense of the fact that Baker is probably not going to play. It was a lot. I think it was 6 or 7. It's down to 1 or 2. I don't think I would play Baker here because I think you ought to be able to beat the Cardinals without him. The Bucs' problems are they're just not healthy, but neither are the Cardinals. So who you got here?
2.5 point spread. Just got to win the game here.
Yep.
I think the Cardinals are awful on the road historically. And Kobe Brissett, I have to give him this for a while. He was like Joe Flacco, looked pretty good.
Yeah.
Now he's coming back to earth here. This is going to be an ugly game here. I think the Bucs win this game here 17-13. Lay the 2.5.
I'll take it. Game of the week is one that we suspect Ohio State should win, but we've said that before. And so how can folks get Ohio State and Michigan?
Check weather. Weather's a factor. I'm going to check it again right now. But last time I saw yesterday, I think it was chance of snow 75%. So you want to get this winner. 800-400-9741. First 10 callers. 800-400-9741. And Turkey Shootout, 15 games from today all the way through Sunday. Not $197, just $97. So if you're around a bunch of relatives and you have to hear the same story like I do all weekend long, and you want to watch the games and you want to wager on them and hopefully win, 15 games, $97. That's it. And we had a 14-1 record one time. We've had 2 13-2 records, couple 12-3, and last year 11-4. Winning 7 more games than you lose. Nothing to shake a stick at. So Turkey Shootout, 15 games, $97. One place, ParamountSports.com. I get a lot of emails and texts and calls from people that watch the segment. I appreciate all their kind thoughts, that they enjoy it and have some fun watching, and listening to your show. And I love coming on with you all the time. We have some fun. We talk football, but we also talk life, and that's what it's all about. Got to laugh at yourself and laugh at what's going on sometimes.
Appreciate it, Lee. We always love having you on as well, and it's been 20-plus years, buddy. Happy Thanksgiving to you and yours, and I hope you get to relax and watch some games today, buddy. Be good.
Okay. See you, bud. Take care.
Lee Sterling, Paramount Sports, joins us every Friday. No different today. Libations Friday, Loosey Goosey edition. Jeff Cameron Show 93.3, Real Talk Radio, and Warchant TV. Our thanks to Lee Sterling. Paramount Sports joins us every year and every week during the football season. I was surprised at his take about Miami on the road against Pitt. And the reason I was surprised is Miami has something to play for. They've got an outside shot here. It's not a great shot, which is awesome. I hope he's right and I'm wrong. It is a 7-point spread tomorrow against Pitt, and I did not check the weather window as he did. I know it's going to be cold because it's Pittsburgh in late November, so there's no chance that it's warm. But I would think if this is the ultimate opportunity, if you're Cristobal, to prove your wares to some extent. Like, you were an offensive lineman. You built this entire program around the offensive line. You have an elite running back. You want to run the ball. It's a cold weather game. Pitt's defensive line is meek. You should be able to run the ball against them. I don't know. If Miami loses that game, they got bigger problems than I realized.
But Pitt's got a scenario to make the ACC championship too, because they're 6-1 in conference. And so, I mean, you're going to get, this is a playoff game in a way, even though they don't know that they don't control their ACC scenarios, but you're going to get everything Pitt has. And that building to Miami is what Raleigh is to Florida State.
Yeah.
And it's beautiful.
No, it's awesome, and I'm rooting for Pitt. And I'm not telling you that it's a slam dunk Miami wins. One of the problems Pitt has is it's an average offensive line. And they had to make changes at quarterback to somebody who was more mobile. And Miami's defensive line is one of the 5 best in the country. So to me, you have a lot of things going for you if you're Miami in this game outside of the weather. But buck up, soldier. I mean, good God, it ain't 7.
It's the weather and your coach's pensions for putting you in a position that it makes no sense. Like, for example, I would say Is Pitt better than SMU? Yes. I believe Pitt is significantly better than SMU, and Miami found a way to go to Dallas with a 90% win probability with a few minutes to go in that game and found a way to lose to SMU. So if you are capable of losing to SMU, and hell, at this point, if you're capable of losing to Louisville, then you sure as hell are capable of losing to Pitt, because Louisville's falling to pieces.
I would say that the conference, every team's capable of losing to each other. Yes, SMU beat Louisville 38-6. SMU is getting healthy at the right time. Jennings is finally right. Their last two games, they've scored 45 and 38 points, and he's looked better than he has in any point this year. I think SMU has a good chance to win the ACC, sadly, Tom. This conference is a bunch of butt cheeks.
It's possible. It's certainly possible.
So it's just embarrassing. I don't think that anybody can predict Florida State. I mean, other than it's a road game. So therefore, by law, you have to take the team that Florida State's playing, that's hosting the game. As far as the rest of his picks go, he has the Dolphins over the Saints, and that makes me smile because it's just funny to watch Dolphins fans get a little more angry about this nonsense that's playing out. The Jags and the Titans, that is such a Jags game. That's such a game that they lose all the time. They ought not. I like Liam Cohen. One thing real quick I want to correct for Lee, and, well, I don't know if it's a correction, but just a vehement disagreement. I agree with part A of his statement, but not part B. Part A was that he doesn't think Liam Cohen believes in Trevor Lawrence. Well, that is correct. He doesn't. And it's abundantly clear every Sunday if you watch a Jags game. Part of my joy of watching the Sunday Ticket and watching Sunday football in general is really getting to get a better grasp and understanding of what teams are or are not or are becoming. And then when you watch a lot of games, you start to figure things out a little bit. You'll see teams trending in the right direction that weren't any good at the beginning of the season. You see teams that have a great record beginning to fail, like Buffalo, and you're starting to go, Buffalo's got issues. You see a lot of different things. But one thing that's remained consistent every week in the National Football League this year has been Liam Cohen's testing his starting quarterback. He hates Trevor Lawrence, and he wishes he could say it out loud, but he does with his body language. Every time Trevor misses a wide open receiver that he schemed open with the perfect play call once again, and he's missed by 15 yards, the camera will pan, and you'll see Liam either turn and look his head to the sky like, why hast thou forsaken me with this bum of a quarterback in year one? Or he'll look right at Trevor and say, as he did earlier this year when caught on camera with that side camera, put it right here, put it on him, throw it to him. It's hilarious. Trevor missed a throw by like a yard, but that yard mattered because it was behind him where he couldn't turn and get the first down instead of leading him. If he leads him, it's a walk-in touchdown, let alone a first down. But he doesn't because he never does. And Liam snaps. And I remember thinking, Liam, you're snapping at that throw. At least it was a completion. Like, my man misses dudes streaking down the middle of the field for 30 yards for a touchdown all the time. So that part of it I agree with. Here's the problem. They will not get rid of Trevor. He's in year one of a massive payday and a huge contract. It just kicked in this year. They have no chance to get rid of him, not without suffering massive cap implications. And that roster's not good enough. Like in Denver, with the situation was Russ, and obviously they could not stand Russ. And so coach comes in, coach is like, oh man, all right, we're going to try to make this work. I'm not a fan of this guy. I think he's a fake and his best days are behind him, but we'll give it a go. And they did give it a go, and it didn't really work out. And he got kind of a little tiny bit of something out of Russell. And then they just moved on at a massive cap expense, and it will hamstring them for a long time to come. But in that moment, what he did have was an elite defense and one that was getting better with young players that were emerging. So the thought was, well, okay, yeah, I'm an offensive mind and I want to throw the ball around and I'd like to have some success offensively, but I can still win with this defense. I'm going to have to win 23-17, but I can win. So let's move on from Russ. And I'll draft a quarterback that's a lot like Drew Brees, that's lacking in some areas, but he'll do what I'm asking him to do, and we'll play good defense. And Sean Payton has been right about that. But the Jags don't have an elite unit on either side of the ball. And they got to continue to stockpile players. So he can't move on from Trevor, I don't believe, anytime soon. Anyhow, that's the mystery around that game that's kind of funny.
Well, not unless they trade him. And that maybe I'm sure there's a lot of teams that would take a shot on Trevor Lawrence.
Oh, I don't know, Tom.
I think so.
Bad. He's been bad.
I think, well, there are a lot of quarterback-starved franchises that would think, all right, well, this is our best shot in the next little while is to get a player like Trevor Lawrence. Yeah, I mean, I'm not saying that they would break the bank and send second-rounders or first-rounders, but there are a lot of situations when you watch in the 1 o'clock or 4 o'clock window on a Sunday, you go, oh, my God, that's the best guy they got? Like, Trevor is a replacement-level quarterback who trends a little bit higher. Maybe we can get the most out of him. On the Russell Wilson note, one thing I'll say is I noticed this past weekend, even though Jameis is playing, Russell went out to the 50 for the coin toss in overtime. I thought that was hilarious. And his helmet was on, too. Russell, Get your ass out there. Call tails. Let's go. Let's do something for the team. I thought that was pretty awesome.
Here's your problem. Even if somebody wanted Trevor Lawrence, he's in a 5-year, $275 million contract extension. He signed in 2024. It's $200 million guaranteed. 142 of that is due early in the contract. It's an annual salary of $55 million. It is actually the deal makes him one of the top 2 highest paid quarterbacks in football. Good luck taking that off the Jags' hands. Nobody's taking that.
We'll send Tootin with him.
It's a garbage contract, and he's not any good, and nobody's saving the Jags by taking Trevor Lawrence. This is woo. Hey, look, I like their coach. He's innovative. They've got some pieces, a couple of pieces that I like. They can make the playoffs. Just you have to try to find a way to make Trevor Lawrence better. I don't know how they're going to do that.
So you're telling me the scuzzball head coach, who's brilliant, is going to be stuck with the guy he doesn't want for the next few years?
No, I think he's going to be stuck with the guy he doesn't want for this year and next year and maybe the year after. I do think
it's a shame.
Think about
it's a shame.
Think about this. If you just look at the cap hit, he's got to keep him for another year, one more year for sure. Maybe they can get out from under it to a lesser degree in year 3. I would need a capologist to tell me how they could deflect some of this because the dead money hit, I don't know what they're going to do. Anyhow, that's the Jags' problem. That's not our problem. Our problems are injuries, and they have a lot of them, and we'll see if the Bucs can beat the Cardinals. That line has moved down low. And then, of course, the Ohio State-Michigan game. I am intrigued by Ohio State-Michigan only because last year happened. And Michigan's got good players. So it's at Michigan. The weather's going to be nasty. The pressure is massive on Ohio State, not the way it would be before the playoff. Before the playoff, this would have been pretty interesting. They get out from under. That's the downside, the unintended consequences of what we've done with college football. It used to be, if you did what Ohio State did last year, thanks for playing, everybody. We're done here.
Yeah, well, I mean, and shoot, it was that way. They snuck in the first year of the 14 playoff. Like they just live a charmed life in Columbus, Ohio. It's really annoying. It's like Packers football as well. My entire adult life, and before that even, both those franchises or organizations, programs, have just been always charmed. You know, if something could go 50-50, it's their side of the 50. Like good things for the Packers, good things for Ohio State. But Michigan's just on the edge of the bubble. I was trying to think of the term because I'm not used to using the word bubble in football.
For the playoff, you're right.
They're 15th. They got all the incentive in the world. And if Ohio State, this is a rivalry game and they should be pissed off from last year. But if Ohio State's like, if we win next week, we still get the bye for the first round of the playoffs. Who cares? I mean, you could have a little bit of split attention here from Ohio State, whereas Michigan has all of its attention on this game. You might have for yourself another one in the second half tomorrow.
It could be very interesting. That's the one thing I don't like. I don't like that that's what we've done now. That game, it matters, but it doesn't matter the way that it could. I did like that. Hey, look, man, you can't lose as a 20-point favorite like you did last year at home to Michigan, because you'll be out of it. You're done. Everything's for naught if you choke that away. Not anymore. Ohio State's in the playoff no matter what. And, I wish there were more repercussions for the potential choke job that Ryan Day could pull here.
I'm telling you, they don't lose the bye if they lose this game. That they would still be in the top 4. Mm-hmm. And Michigan would just climb up over all these other teams, and now you got an argument with Notre Dame and other schools where people go, oh, really? I went over an Ohio State team who clearly looked disinterested. Yeah, these are the types of conversations that you need to get used to. And this is why we're going to have to move rivalry week off of Thanksgiving Saturday. We're going to have to move it ahead in the schedule. It has to be earlier in the schedule. I know that's another tradition that we're setting ablaze, but unless you have the difference of the way you're going to handle conference title games, this proximity ain't going to do it, man. You're going to have to move these.
Well, and conference title games are in jeopardy too. I mean, they're fighting like hell to try to keep these title games relevant, and they have to walk on eggshells and contort themselves and twist and turn every which way, shape, or form to try to figure out, like, well, now you can't penalize somebody for going to the conference championship game and playing an extra game. And so you suddenly, you have hamstrung yourself here, because all of a sudden that game, which you tell everybody matters and they want to make millions of dollars off of, you don't want to tell a team that gets in there and they're on the outskirts of the playoff or just barely in the playoff realm, hey, if you lose this game, you're out. Well, fine, we won't go.
Well, this is where the auto bids would help conference championship weekend. The SEC does not want auto bids. The SEC wants conference champions and then all of the at-larges. But if you did auto bids and slots, conference championship week is immediately saved. If you did conference champions only plus at-large bids, you might have to create another committee in each conference, sir, to dish out exemptions from the conference championship game. And the Big Ten committee says, Ohio State, you are exempt from the conference championship weekend. And then we designate in its place, Michigan will take on, and you're going to have your own TV shows. This is the new world.
And it's a world that I would like for us to matter in. And yet, as we sit here today, we don't.
How many exemptions would Jim Phillips have to hand out before Florida State gets to go to Charlotte?
All of them? That's right. It's the Jeff Cameron Show, 93.3 Real Talk Radio, Warchant TV. The days are getting shorter, my friend. That's what happens in the wintertime. And while I love winter, I don't like the shortened days. Sometimes it leads to depression. You know what else leads to depression? Poor football. Poor football leads to depression. More on that in a moment. This episode is brought to you by BetterHelp. Give online therapy a try at betterhelp.com/warchant and get on your way to being your best self. Yeah, Florida State football is depressing a lot of people. It's depressing me. It's depressing you. And we've got to talk about it on the regular. And sometimes that's what you need to do. You need to reach out to that somebody that you haven't talked to in a while, somebody that you thought, man, I should go have a cup of coffee and see how they're doing. Find out how the people in your life are doing. Communicate. Reach out. It's always a good idea. And that's true. Mental health as well. It's okay. Therapy works. And you'll ask yourself sometimes, why didn't I do this sooner? Talk to somebody that you can connect with that you haven't in the past to explain the way you're feeling, and you'll feel better about it. By the way, quality therapists, BetterHelp therapists work according to a strict code of conduct and are fully licensed in the United States. Focus on your therapy goals. It's a short questionnaire. It's very simple, and it is private. You don't have to worry about sharing your thoughts with the world. This is what works. This month, don't wait to reach out, whether you're checking in on a friend or reaching out for a therapist for yourself. BetterHelp makes it easier to take the first step. Our listeners get 10% off their first month at betterhelp.com/warchant. That's betterhelp.com/warchant. betterhelp.com/warchant. Hour number 2, Libations Friday, rolls on. Loosey-goosey edition of the Jeff Cameron Show. Thanks for tuning to it. By the way, it should be mentioned, you're listening to 93.3 FM, Tallahassee's only locally owned and operated radio station. It's a cool thing. Thanks for supporting local. You're also watching on Warchant TV. Thanks for doing that. Appreciate all of you that are there watching the show. But also should be mentioned today, Tom, and we didn't get to it in the first hour because we were talking about big picture Florida State stuff. Then we had Lee Sterling on, and then the reaction to Lee Sterling's segment. So we should note that 5-1 Florida State is taking on Texas A&M, who's 5-2, at 5 p.m. today at the Benchmark International Arena. I cannot get used to the name, and it bothers me. It will always be Emily Arena in Tampa for me, but it is promoted as such Battle of the Bay, or Battle in the Bay, not of the Bay. A&M's nowhere near the Bay. Battle in the Bay is what it is, and it is on ESPN2 for those of you looking for a respite from football and or perhaps something for that 5th or 6th or 7th television that you are propping up in the room a day in which we consume large amounts of alcohol and watch sports all day long. And if you're in Tallahassee, you're doing it while also opening up your doors to the wondrous cool air that then blows through and reminds you that just because your football team sucks to high heaven doesn't mean you can't be happy by the little things and enjoy those things, such as a cool fall day in Tallahassee where there are, at the very least, some meaningful games being played for your entertainment purposes. And there was one played last night. And your boy, don't mind if I say, took some Navy action and won that game against Memphis. I had him straight up. I had him with the points earlier in the week, and I said, no, Jeff Cameron. Navy doesn't need those points. Navy's going to win that game. They're too diverse on offense. By the way, I will also point out, have you watched Navy play, Tom?
I watched a good bit of the USF game, yes.
Man, they're well coached. Boy, oh boy, that is a well-coached team right there, man. Do they do a lot of things right? I like their clock management. I like that man's beard. It's the best beard in football. It's icy white and cool, and he knows it. Also, they have a quarterback, the Horvath kid, who's a absolute stud. And he's a stud not because he wows you in any sort of way. You know, like when you've seen quarterbacks in the past, like Lamar Jackson, where you go, oh my God, nobody's ever looked like that at quarterback before, doing all those crazy things, or way back to Michael Vick or somebody like that, or even Andrew Luck, who's a mountainous man with a cannon for an arm, who stands tall in the pocket and can pre-snap better than anybody that's ever played the game. None of that stuff is happening with the Navy quarterback. What happens to the Navy quarterback is a man who has a very, very good understanding of exactly who they are and what they have to be. And it is born out of toughness. And I hate prattling on like I am right now about Navy, since Tom and I are Army guys. Both our dads served in the Army. My granddad served in the Army, got a long family history in the Army. But I can admire smart, good football and players who understand what they are and how they fit in a system. And watching Navy play offense, I can tell you now that Florida State would not beat Navy. Florida State would not beat Navy. We could play them 100 times and we wouldn't beat Navy. It's hard to beat Navy. That's a weird offense that now incorporates a lot of passing elements that never used to have. And damn it, man, when you're looking at that midline and then all of a sudden you've got, you got saddle car, and then you're going through the really quick, they go quick game, and then they'll just do the draw, and then everything about playing them has got to be maddening. And you could watch Memphis last night, just the looks on their faces, like that son of a DeMarco Ward's on that team, by the way. Tom, did you know that?
Oh, good old DeMarco Ward.
Came up and made a big tackle on a third down play. Looked like an athlete who doesn't play at Florida State anymore. Don't know that he would ever been good here anyhow. It's just, the point is, it's a well-coached team running a well-coached offense, buttoned up. Looks like they know what they're doing. Went on the road on a freezing cold night in Memphis with a lot on the line for Navy. Did they look nervous? Did they get rattled when they fell behind early in the game? Did they get nervous when they turned the ball over on the 2-yard line with a chance to take the lead in the second half? No. They bucked up. They came back out. They got to stop. Then they marched down the field and scored and took the lead as if they knew that's exactly what they were going to do. Something to behold, buddy. Something to behold.
Why do I suddenly feel like I need to take a shot of liquor? I don't understand. I mean, those are all great points, but for some reason, I mean, and if liquor won't do, maybe I just need to have that fireball that's here at my desk for weeks.
You got it ready to go, buddy.
Maybe I could just shoot this thing right now. I don't know.
It exists. It exists at places like Navy, Annapolis. It exists in places all over the country. Go watch Arizona play football. I dare you. Fun team to watch. They play good, disciplined football. They're a quality team. They don't have a ton of great athletes. They're lacking in a lot of areas, but guess what they do? They play to what they are, their strengths, and they know it, and they don't get rattled very easily. They're prepared. Yeah, go watch them play. Go watch Rhett Lashley take a bad, and I mean for the bulk of this year, that was not a good SMU team. They had holes all over the place. Guess what they are now? A lot better than they were 4 weeks ago. A lot better than they were 6 weeks ago. And guess what they might do? They might end up winning the ACC. And my God, that would be back-to-back years in which they played for it. And then Miami will have been surpassed by SMU in the 2 years that SMU's been in the conference. That's rather amazing. It's also frustrating and humiliating, but it is a testament to a coach who gets the most out of what he has.
Well, look, man, Florida teams have been passed by all types of teams. We talked about that last hour, but it's also true here for us that new members in the ACC, not just SMU, but these bastions of the former greatness of student athletes putting students first. Stanford is ahead of Florida State, and Cal also ahead of Florida State. These have been wonderful additions. I mean, if you told me that when we had Stanford and Cal join our great league, the Atlantic Coast Conference, that they would amass better win-loss totals than Florida State in their ACC membership, I would tell you that that's exactly what we envisioned when we brought in Stanford and Cal, because they're going to push the standard here in the ACC. And that's where we are in reality, which is dead last in the aggregate in the last 2 years in conference play. Nothing we can do about it this week because we're taking on an SEC team. Here's the good news, though. The last 3 times we played an SEC team away from home, we've won all of those games, including 2 years ago when we were in the swamp, and we did beat the Gators. So maybe it's just one of those deals. If we need a win on the road or a win away from our building, we need to play an SEC team. And maybe week 3 against Alabama next year, you'll be looking for your 5th straight win away from home against an SEC team. Maybe, just maybe.
Would be one of the great anomalies in the sport. It would be one of the great anomalies in the sport. You know, you brought up Cal. Cal fired Justin Wilcox, who I love. I don't know that, you know, if you hired Justin Wilcox as your defensive coordinator, let's say Tony White leaves, because Justin Wilcox is now available, by the way. I don't know, you know, if you hired him, I don't know. I can't guarantee you that it would be a hit. Here's what I know about all of that. Now, he played at Oregon. He's a defensive back, so he's all West Coast. So I don't know that he could recruit in the South. So there's a lot of that. Okay, I get all that. He's a good football coach, though. There are a lot of good football coaches. I think what we're getting to and beginning to discover, and this is another reason the administration is copping out by not firing Mike Norvell, is that I've been told by certain people, and a number of people that emailed me said this as well, that, well, there was no surefire candidate out there, so that they didn't want to spend $50+ million to make Mike Norvell go away if they didn't have a sure thing. You never have a sure thing. And in today's day and age, modern college football, there is no such thing as a sure thing at coach. We saw Brian Kelly not get it done at LSU. He's been successful everywhere he's ever been, and it didn't work out at LSU. By the way, he was better than Mike Norvell has been at Florida State, but Norvell did beat him head-to-head twice, so maybe that offsets my argument a little bit. But LSU's records have not been dreadful, just but by LSU standards. They've been dreadful, and so they moved on from him because they don't sit idly by and watch that failure and do nothing about it. But that's yeah, I get it, right? You don't have a guy that you can point to and say, I know this is going to work. Although I will say, we all suspected in the moment that Elko would work out very well at Texas A&M, and he's now on the cusp of being undefeated in the SEC. They are paying him they were at the time they hired him $6 million. That ain't much. That ain't much. To me, you can't know anymore because of the system. So because you can't know anymore whether or not something's going to work out, the best you can do is find a qualified head coach that to you, after many interviews, seems like a very good fit. Then you pay him a sensible salary, not an astronomical salary, the way that somebody's going to pay Lane Kiffin. And then you say, here is your incentivized laden contract. This is what it starts as. And if you win and you're successful over this period of time, you will make gobs of money that is commensurate with your success. That's what we'll do. We'll reward you for kicking ass. And if you can't accept that and your agent will not accept that, then we're going to move on and find another candidate because, as we said before, there are no guarantees. So we're not going to be held over a barrel because your agent is the super agent who's going to tell us we have to spend 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, $15 million on a coach. Instead, we're going to pay you 5 or 6 the way A&M did. And then if you kick ass, we'll pay you that big salary because we will have proof in the pudding. We will know that you're that guy. And oh, by the way, we will have a sensible buyout. We're not going to get absolutely crushed by some nonsensical agreement because we're fearful that you're going to walk and that we have to pay you for 8, 9, 10 years to do so. We're not doing that. We're not doing that. And if you can't agree to these terms, then we'll find that next sensible candidate as well, and we will move away from you as our top candidate. That's how this has to operate moving forward. But it doesn't mean that you can be paralyzed by fear of making a mistake because there seems to be no obvious beacon of light to guide you back to winning ways, because there's not going to be, as we move forward in the world of college football, a singular answer the way that Nick Saban was, or back in the day as time went by, the way we all knew certain iconic coaches to be. It doesn't exist anymore, not at the highest levels it doesn't. There is no guarantee that Lane Kiffin will win at LSU or Florida, just as there's no guarantee that Franklin will win at Virginia Tech, as there is no guarantee that anybody will win anywhere solely because of their name. That you cannot know any longer.
But what you do know is that this structure, that this culture, that this football-only facility is in a place that's untenable, and you hope that whoever you bring in this offseason, hope is not a strategy. I saw some use that as a reason to not fire Mike Norvell. I think that that's the reason. You could cut it both ways with hope being a strategy, because I think that's exactly what the administration is doing right now, is hoping that the replacements on the coaching staff, whoever they bring in for the front office, is going to be able to prop this guy up in a way that sees them be able to declare success, even though we'll know that it was other people in the building that got him to the place he needed to go. And that is their best hope right now. That is the best strategy right now. And it's tough, man, because you already tried to do this thing of propping him up last year. And here we sit. We did double our ACC win total from 1 to 2, which is a step. And so now we have 3 ACC wins in the last 2 years. They did get better. I don't know how you could get much worse than 2-10, but they didn't achieve even the most basic of goals that everybody had set for them, be it an administrator or the most optimistic of fans. Nobody said 6-6 is acceptable this year. Nobody said, especially after you start 3-0. Like, could you imagine at the outset of the game against Virginia that you asked any Nole and said, hey, is 6-6 good enough this year? Do you think that anybody would have said yes after starting 3-0? Hell no. Not a single person who was not on some sort of psychedelic would tell you that 6-6 is acceptable after starting 3-0. But here they are. From that point on, they could be staring at 5-7 for the season. So you went 2-7 to finish your campaign, but we don't have the money or we don't have the guts. It's one or the other. You either don't have the money or you don't have the guts, because I agree with you. It's fear. If you have the money, then it's fear of making another mistake. And if that is your guiding principle, I can't imagine that they would do that in their primary focus of life. If you're Peter Collins and you're working in the finance world, is fear going to dictate your next move? If you're Richard McCullough and you're dealing with an academic issue, is fear going to dictate your next move? No. So why is it happening here? It's a tough thing. And we got to consider these questions rather than, hey, are we going to muscle up and stop Baugh because he's a really physical running back at 6'1", 230 pounds? That's typically what this time is reserved for on the Friday after Thanksgiving, but it's not this year. It's always thinking about, are we just going to be here at the precipice of the Florida game in 2026 having the same conversation of, how else can they prop them up this offseason for 2027?
I was at Costco the other day, the day before Thanksgiving, as apparently all of Tallahassee was. And as I made my way slowly through the aisles at Costco to get to what I needed, I ran into several listeners of the program, and I want to say hello to all of them yet again. It was very nice to run into people in the community who share our pain and agony and frustration. And it's very nice to have them say that they tune in. That the other day's bellying up, Tom, they said led them to be more depressed. And what was funny about that was this one gentleman said to me as he stopped me by the aisle that had this massive container of mashed potatoes that I was about to put in my cart. He said to me, normally I tune in because it's just cathartic to hear you express the same sorts of frustrations that we have in an entertaining fashion, Jeff. And I tune in because you and Tom have a great rapport, and I tune in because I like to laugh and you guys are funny. And but this time around I tuned in and I got depressed, and I'm not mad at you, but it just let me know just how stark you think things are to feel that sense of depression between the two of you. And he said, but I will say this. And I said, what is that, friend? And he said, at least there's beer. That's what we were deduced to. That's where we're at. At least there's beer. Yeah. And then that was the whole thing. That was the, put your hands up like that. Yeah. Apparently that made the boards. I don't know.
It did. I've started to use that as well on the boards. People, any comments where the people, well, that doesn't sound good. Usually if there's a sentiment like that and I'm engaged in the thread, I will respond with the old emoji, which is just, that ain't great.
Yeah, we discovered something that day where once our administration gave us that emoji, we said, yeah, there it is. That's the way it's going to be.
Well, the talking point on the board, there was another poster put out there that the cap figure, well, I got into very much semantics with some people on the boards who's like, well, the cap and the rev share and the NIL. Okay. Florida State posited this poster has between $5 and $7 million to work with right now to improve the roster for next year. That's it. That's what they're working with in order to get a quarterback, offensive line, edge rusher.
That's correct. That is correct.
The range of $5 to $7 million, which, yes, I went and verified. And I said, yep, that ballpark figure is accurate at this time. Now, that's fluid. It can change for a number of reasons. You could have some kids leave the program that had a decent rev share number, so it climbs up or commits or decommits. Maybe somebody declares for the NFL draft like a Deuce Robinson. I think that's why that range is getting towards 7, because Deuce ain't cheap.
Right.
So if he comes back, that number is a little bit lower. And it could change because maybe you find a miraculous donor between here and now that says we need to be more competitive. And so by the time you get to the portal, it is above 7. But right now, what you're sitting with is $5 to $7 million from any bucket you want to choose from, be it rev share or be it NIL, in order for Florida State to fix the roster. And people said, that's it? And I hit him with the emoji, man. I hit him with the, that's the shrug emoji. That's what they got.
Well, that is the correct number, and I did the same research that you did, and I imagine we talked to a few of the same people as well. And, yeah, I could paint an even bleaker scenario if I were so inclined, but I'm not going to do that today. Not going to do that. That number is right, between 5 and 7 million, but there are some, as you said, caveats to all of this.
Right. And folks, just really quickly, I'm sorry, because people often say that's all they're spending total on the program. No. That is dollars that they have available to them to go. They have a lot of dudes right now on the roster that are signed for next year
who already have deals.
Yes. So it's not 5 to 7 total. It's that's what they have to work with right now left in the piggy bank to go add to the underclassmen that you expect back for next year. And we know they need a whole offensive line, a quarterback, another top receiver, potentially, probably, if Deuce leaves.
Two defensive ends.
Right. Yes. Yeah, you're going to probably need a linebacker or two again.
Oh, perhaps.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. No, and a quarterback alone, if you want to do what, say, some have suggested, which is go out and get the highest profile, most guaranteed to succeed quarterback like a Cam Ward was, will cost you in the neighborhood of $4 million. I would not do that. I would point to people, if they'd like, go read Bill Connolly's article on the transfer quarterbacks that move from one place to, well, by definition, that's transfer, one place to the other in the offseason, and go look at how they fared. Now, in that article, I think he had Tommy ranked as the 35th or 38th best transfer quarterback, whatever it was. Not good, but probably commiserate to what you spent between $800,000 and $1 million on Tommy. So that's about right. He was never going to be good because he's never been good. I've said that repeatedly, but that's what they did. And now you're going to have the same guy making the same decision as to who to bring in as a quarterback? Great.
Well,
yeah, we'll see.
Well, they bring in a GM. Maybe you get yourself a new...
Are they bringing him in the next hour? When's he going to get here? Because I got to figure this out pretty quick, Tom.
You got to get him in by about the 10th or 15th of December. There will be stories on intent to enter the portal, and I'm sure tampering began weeks ago.
Yeah, it's November 28th, dude. We're going to hire a GM in the next 12, 13 days?
That would be what the statements suggested we were
No
going
chance.
to do.
No chance.
I'm not going to opine and say what they will or won't do. They released that thing after Stanford that I still don't understand what they were trying to say about Mike's future. So all I'm going to do is redirect it to the statement. That is the heavy implication of the statement, is that there's going to be immediate personnel changes where there are program deficiencies, quote unquote. The program deficiencies are the two words that were in quotes.
Yeah. We could go on and on about this. I mean, maybe they'll name somebody with a title. Chef Cameron Show, 93.3, Real Talk Radio, Warchant TV. We got a wager, and we'll do so next with Mama, who cut into my lead from 8 to 7. We went. We'll see if we can reestablish dominance this week. It's Chef Cameron Show, 93.3, Real Talk Radio, Warchant TV. Might this be the beginning? She whittled it down by 1 last week. The number now 7. Your boy leads Mom by 7, but signs of progress as she gained a game. I don't know why in the world I picked New Orleans ever, but I did last week, and that was the difference maker. So it is. Let's welcome in Mama for some picks on a Libations Friday, the day after Thanksgiving.
And now for another edition of the Family Pick. Nick.
Go to your room!
Ma, the meatloaf!
Take it away, Jeffrey.
Hello, Mother. I hope you had a great Thanksgiving. We talked yesterday. I assume it went well.
Yes, it did. It was quite busy, but it was fun. We had a good time and plenty of food and drink and all of that. So it was well. We did good, and I know you did too.
We did. We had a great time. And what's interesting is that you and I failed miserably in the NFL in our family pool. So I know that neither of us won a game yesterday.
Unbelievable. I thought I was going to pull that, whatever, the Kansas City-Dallas game. I thought maybe Kansas City was going to come back and win that one, but it wasn't to be. Like you said, Dallas is good.
Dallas has turned it around. They certainly are good. Their offense is great, and they're getting better on defense. And they did the nation a favor by beating Kansas City, who's now 6-6 and really staring at an uphill climb to try to make the playoffs. It's beautiful. Green Bay's got Detroit's number defensively. They really do a good job against them.
I didn't watch all those games closely yesterday because I was busy. But what I did watch with Green Bay and Detroit, it looked like, I don't know how their people got so wide open. Detroit, what's happened to Detroit's defense?
Well, their secondary got beat last. They have a harder time getting to Jordan Love, and when you give any quarterback time, he's going to make plays. Jordan played probably the best game I've seen him play in a long time. He made some laser throws.
Wide open receivers way down the field. I mean, I was like, what is going on?
Well, but he also made some great throws where guys weren't wide open that just made incredible catches time and again on 4th down. And really, he had a game for the ages. So we sit at 7 apart right now, Mom. We do have a Friday game.
Oh, we do?
Yes, we do. And it is today at 3. It is today at 3 o'clock.
Oh, all right.
And
I'll be watching because I'm not going to do one thing today.
Well, it's a great game. It's Chicago at Philadelphia.
Yes, and Chicago, surprisingly, I didn't realize how good their record was, actually, until I checked. But anyway, I took Philadelphia.
I took Philadelphia as well. Interesting game, though. Chicago's 8-3, and they've gotten better, a lot better than they were a year ago. It'd be interesting to see if Philadelphia's offense moves the ball. All right, we both have Philly. San Francisco at Cleveland, which I think is the hardest game of the week to pick.
Yeah, I know. I took San Fran. I don't know. Cleveland could win, but I took San Fran.
The problem is San Francisco's offensive line is banged up going against the best defensive end in the entire National Football League on a freezing cold day on the road, and they have all of one weapon, and that is McCaffrey. And McCaffrey will get shut down by this defense, and then all of a sudden you're watching a sorry 6-6 ball game in the fourth quarter. I could just picture this is not a game I would be giving my clients, Mom, but I will take San Francisco at Cleveland as well, and then we're both going to lose the game.
Okay.
Jacksonville at Tennessee.
I'm taking Jacksonville. I heard what Lee Sterling was saying, and I know he did pick Jacksonville, but I think they'll win.
They ought to. I'll pick them as well. Houston's at Indianapolis.
Now that is a hard game, I think, because Houston. Who did I pick? Okay, I took Indy.
I did too, but I'm a little worried about it.
I know. Houston's doing better too.
The Saints are at the Dolphins.
Yeah, I'm taking the Dolphins.
Atlanta is at the Jets.
I know. I'm taking Atlanta, but that's a terrible game.
Arizona at Tampa Bay.
I'm taking Tampa Bay. Now, damn it, they better get their act together. And I know Baker may not play, but surely to goodness can beat Arizona. I don't know. And there you go. We got a team coming, far across the country. So I'm taking the Bucs.
Speaking of far across the country, the Rams are flying into North Carolina, Charlotte, to take on Carolina. Who you got?
Oh, I got the Rams.
Me too. Minnesota's at Seattle.
Well, you didn't say who you were picking in the Bucs game.
I'm taking the Bucs.
Oh, are you? Okay, good. What was the next one you said?
I said the Rams at Carolina, and you already took the Rams, and then I said Minnesota at Seattle.
Yeah, that is a hard game too. I took Seattle.
I don't think it's a hard game. I think Seattle will win by 30.
Okay.
Yeah, Minnesota sucks. Buffalo at Pittsburgh.
Now that is a hard game. You
Agreed.
wouldn't think it would be, but I don't know what's going on with Buffalo. I'm taking Buffalo, but I don't know. I can see Pittsburgh winning that.
I'm taking the Steelers.
Okay, I kind of thought you might.
Yeah, I don't love the game, and I don't love either team either, but Buffalo's got some issues on defense. I don't trust their defense at all. So I'll take Pittsburgh, and I'll hold my nose.
I know.
We're both going to take the Chargers over Las Vegas.
Yes, we are.
Denver's at Washington. I assume we're taking Denver.
I'm taking Denver.
And then finally, the Giants are at the Patriots, and we're both taking the Patriots. So that's it. That's all.
Oh my gosh, we just got the one. The Pittsburgh. Who are they playing?
Buffalo.
Buffalo. That's right. Yeah. Well, we'll see what happens. I know that's at least I can't lose too many. I'll just be back where I started.
If you lose today, you'll be down, or you lose this weekend, you'll be down 8 again. If you win, you cut it to 6. Just whittle away.
I'll be coming back. I know. Oh my gosh.
You got college football all day today, Mom. You've got the one NFL game. I know you worked hard for everybody's Thanksgiving yesterday. Go enjoy yourself, relax, have a good cup of coffee, and enjoy the football.
I am going to. You guys do the same. And anyway, just talk to you next week.
All right, Mom. I love you.
Love you too. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. All right, so just the one game difference. I took the Steelers. She took the favored Bills. I don't love Pittsburgh, but I really think Buffalo's got a problem on that defense, so I will go ahead and take the Steelers at home to get the win. It's the Jeff Cameron Show, 93.3 Real Talk Radio, Warchant TV. So I got sidetracked by rage, and I need to remedy that by once again mentioning that we're playing basketball today down in Tampa, and I will do so in a minute. Before that, I'll say if you feel that same sort of anxiety and frustration and or rage, given the situation with Florida State, then remember, cornbread hemp CBD gummies can help. If you've been looking for a more natural way to relieve aches and discomfort, the CBD gummies from our friends at Cornbread are formulated to work with your body and not against it. So a little peace of mind, relaxation. Maybe you're struggling to sleep, whatever it is that you need to add to your wellness plan with, you can with Cornbread Hemp CBD gummies made to make you feel better, whether it's stress, discomfort, or a little relaxation that you seek. All products, third-party lab tested, USDA organic to ensure safety and purity. Right now, Jeff Cameron Show listeners can save 30% on their first order. Just head to cornbreadhemp.com/warchant. Use code WARCHANT at checkout. Some days it's Cameron. Other days it's WARCHANT. Today, it's cornbreadhemp.com/WARCHANT. All right, there you go. Now you know. Now you know what it is. Florida State 5-1. Did you watch us play the other night?
Yes. It feels like a month ago, but yes, I did.
It was just the other night. And we were 0 for 15 from 3 at the first half marker. And I laughed because I knew what was coming in the second half. I've learned very quickly who Luke Laux is and what his philosophy is and what this team will or will not do. And I can assure you, whether it is 14 of 15 or 0 for 15, they're going to come out shooting threes. That's what they're going to do. And in fact, I get a sense that when it's not working is when he doubles down to further ingrain the philosophy. The shots are the shots. The offense is the offense. We're going to run it. And if you get a good look and you don't take it, I'll sit you and put the man in who will. This is what we're going to do until we find a guy who's hitting them. And they did. And pretty soon it became apparent that they had a couple of guys that were going to hit them, and they began to make a lot of shots again.
Yeah, well, look, you get to the half and you're up by a nominal rate against expectations, but you're 0 for 15 from 3. And that's the best possible position you can be in because you know regression is coming. Mm-hmm. Just because it doesn't work doesn't. Yeah, maybe in an ACC game, if it's close and you're 0 for 15 in the first half, you might deviate from the plan, but not in a setting like this. They're just going to keep on chucking them up there, and they're going to go. And they started to go right away in the second half, and you're like, yep, here's the regression. Regression cuts both ways. It's to the positive and to the negative. It's just it is a negative. It is a neutral term, and that's what happened for the Noles. And look, man, if they bother to shoot with any consistency from 3, they're going to be a threat to score 90 to 100 points in every game against any opponent. And that's the good thing about this team. The bad thing is try that 0 for 15 on against Georgia next Tuesday night or today against Texas A&M. You're going to see some ugly box scores of the half where Florida State is down by 1 million. But that's the price of doing business, and that's okay. You're just going to have to accept that because it's going to put them in position to win more games and, frankly, outright win them more games than it's not. And I love learning about this team because you're right. They stick to their guns, literally, with the 3 points, even if they don't work. Love that about Luke. Love that about what they're trying to do here. There's conviction in what they're doing.
It's a little bit like, and I'm going to move on to some interesting points about this game, in my opinion. It's a little bit like playing golf a certain way. And, you make changes to your swing. You hear about professional golfers having to make changes to their swing or choosing to make changes to their swing. And there are certain elements of their game that are always going to be rock solid because, they're professional golfers. But when you first try on a new swing in competition, like in a major, and things start to go wayward, you have a tendency, and your brain reacts this way, to want to fall back on the things you know and fall back on the things you did because there's a comfort there. But you've convinced yourself that that way cannot be the way forward, not long term. That way is the way that sees you eventually never win a major and not hold on to your card and just get by week to week. But it's comforting because you'll make some cuts that way. You'll have a chance to be in it on a Saturday or a Sunday because that's what you knew. But you knew that in order to take the big step to become a top 10 guy who wins some tournaments and has a chance in majors, you had to make these changes to your swing. So you make those changes to your swing, and then you're in the middle of a terrible round, and you want to fall back into the thing, and your coach or your caddy says, we can't do it, man. Swing the swing. Do what you're supposed to do. We'll figure it out. It may be ugly this weekend. I can't worry about that. Neither can you. Post your 77. These changes will not stick if we do not continue to implement them when we are at our most stressful. And Luke teaches that and says, guys, this is what we do. And it's always going to be what we do. And when those losses happen, and there will be some like the ones you just described, in which we're going to look at a box score or we're going to watch a game and we're going to go, they're down 42. I don't know that we needed the 3 there. We're shooting 16%. Let's not do that. Yeah, you got to get used to it because it has to be who you are, because when you have a loaded roster, it's going to be no different than when you have this roster. You're still going to play the same way. The efficiency numbers will go up because the players will be better, and you'll have greater depth and balance and all those things. And also you will have ingrained a mentality. Now, what's different about today's game? Well, Texas A&M is different. We know Florida State's different. New coach, new coaches, new players, new system. Got it. Everybody's aware of that. A&M, same head coach. It is interesting to think about what A&M is becoming and who they were. So let's talk about that a little bit. FSU leads the all-time series. If you guys don't know, you know I love to throw that stat out there. 3-1, with the 3 games, first 3 of them being played prior to 1979. The most recent meeting, which I remember well, and I think you do too, Tom, 2011 NCAA tournament. We were the 10 seed. And we went into the zone defense in the second half of the number 7 seeded Aggies didn't know what to do. And we blocked and harassed and corralled rebounds and played a defensive-minded game, which was the hallmark of the Leonard Hamilton 1.0, which was 57-50 in the round of 64. Derwin Kitchen, who's now on the staff, we come full circle, ladies and gentlemen, 15.7 boards. The Aggies were led by current NBA forward Chris Middleton, who used to be with Milwaukee, is now with Washington. He had 16 points, but alas, it was not good enough. Florida State got it done on that fateful day. You remember that game, Tom?
I do. We were at Corner Pocket Bar and Grill. It was an afternoon tip, not a night tip. And Chris Singleton had been hurt leading up to that game and was activated and able to play limited minutes, as I recall, in that basketball game. And I do remember that was I want to say a Friday, because the Sunday we were in Chicago, right? Did it say in there? Yeah. Because the next game we played was Notre Dame when Okaro White karate kicked Hansbrough in the face. And we karate kicked them on the scoreboard too with all the threes that we hit. Yeah. That was good. That was a good weekend.
Yeah. By the way, I meant to mention Buzz Williams was there, left and went to Maryland in the offseason, which shocked everybody. So they're not led by Buzz Williams. He was just there. He is now at Maryland. Forgot about that. Double checked it because the voice in my head said, that's not right, Jeff. And then I found out I was incorrect. So therefore I am now correct. But here's what they have changed. Stanford's coach came in, Bucky McMillan. He was on a short list of people that some people thought Florida State was going to interview for the job here. What's interesting about this is that Buzz Williams played that physical style of basketball. McMillan plays Bucky ball, and it is up tempo. It's what we run. They run almost the exact same offense, relying heavily on three-point shooting. They do the same thing defensively. They're active. They're very harassing. It's kind of what they are. They also have, like every program that has a new coach these days, a bunch of new players, 12 new players. So it's hard to know what that personnel is without having seen them play much. They're 0-2 against the Power 5 currently, but they did beat down Oklahoma State. Anyhow, looking prior to this, they had been, and they won that. So they're a weird team. They shoot the ball a lot. They're not afraid of the three. They harass on defense. They sound like us. Let's find out what happens.
Yeah,
I'm curious about tonight's game.
So I was just mining for this piece of data. Did you cite tempo data?
I'd looked at it, but I didn't cite it. No.
Okay, so this is gonna be my favorite thing to look up for every game that we play this year. An adjusted tempo. That's one thing that Ken Palm is good for. They've got an adjusted tempo column. So you go to kenpalm.com. 33rd is Texas A&M. Florida State currently stands at 7th in the country in adjusted tempo. Let's go. Let's get up and down the damn court and see what happens. As we know, Alabama, who we played in the exhibition season, they are 6th in adjusted tempo, and that game was fun as hell. This team not quite at that level, but it'll be interesting too. Let's say that Florida State, it's all about pace to me. Let's say Florida State gets out to a decent lead and you're at the under 8 in the first half. Does A&M still want to run? How do teams adjust to us? We're going to continue to do what we want to do no matter what. But I just wonder if we get out in transition or we hit a bunch of threes early in the shot clock, if maybe some teams might say, whoa, we need to get them thinking that they're in the mud here and running on a mutter track, not a something like the greatest show on turf. We'll see if that happens today. But if they play it the way that the tempo numbers look right now, because adjusting for the opponent is very, very important, you should see this game in the 80s, I would think, for both teams.
I want to point out I was wrong about something else, and I need to get it together here. It's a Friday. I'm a little distracted. I got to admit, I double-checked and pulled up the schedule because I wanted to see those scores, Tom, and you are correct. These are their wins Northwestern State, Texas Southern, Montana, Manhattan, and Mississippi Valley State. They killed all of those very bad teams. Those teams are a combined 4-25 against Division I opponents. They lost to both Power 5 opponents. That game against Oklahoma State I had wrong. They got beat down 87-63. And they lost to UCF, Tom, 86-74. So in the games that they lost, both of them, they gave up 80-plus points. In fact, they gave up 85-plus points in both those games. Dare we say, what's the race to?
Well, yeah, Luke likes to say first to 100 wins, and I don't think they're going to get there. Certainly not in the hockey arena. Usually that causes issues for the playing surface as well, no matter how hard you try. There's some problems with the surface and or the fact that it's not a typical basketball arena. The rims might be a little bit weird. So I think the race here is probably to 82. Give me 82.
I like it. This is the first of 3 consecutive games for Florida State against Power 5 opponents. We host Georgia on December the 2nd. Then we play at Houston, who's currently ranked number 2 in the country, number 3, depending on the poll you're looking at. We play them December the 6th. So, okay, get a win here would be ideal.
Yeah,
frankly, get a win here if you can, and then see what happens against Georgia. Because I don't like your chances against Houston.
Right. Yeah, you like to bank this one. Yeah. Again, just Ken Palm. We'll get into the net rankings later in the season as there's more data. But Texas A&M is 66th in Ken Palm. Florida State is 57th. We've climbed from the hundreds. We were at like 118 not that long ago, but we're up to 57th in Ken Palm. Georgia next week is at 38. So it's nice that it's here, and then Houston is 6th. So this would be the one. If you're just going by early season, small data sets, go grab this win. This would be a good one for you if you can go get it.
Yeah, it'd be a good one for you. Absolutely, it would be. And look, as the year goes on, that 2-point loss on the road to Florida in Gainesville is going to do you favors. If you take care of business against teams you're capable of beating, that's going to look good. That's going to grow. That's going to be a good thing for you. I get the same sense you do. We talked about this a little bit a while back. Not only is Florida State better than we think they are, they may be a lot better than we think they are. I'm not telling you that this team is going to win the ACC or even be top 5 in the ACC or anything like that. I'm just saying that they're a capable team, and some folks will get, I think, surprised by the way we play.
Yeah, I think, yes, on a night-by-night basis, 100%, people are going to go, whoa, that team's dangerous. But you do need to bank at least 1, if not 2.
Inexplicable losses, yeah.
To guard against the inexplicable losses, yes. A&M, Georgia, Houston, Dayton. Can you go 2-2 in that stretch? It would be critical if you go 2-2, because Dayton also, from a Ken Palm standpoint, is in that top 70. And that game's away from home. So that's going to give you a little bit more value as well. So if you can go 2-2 in this stretch, it would behoove you, because the ACC is not going to be rated well at the end of the year. So you're going to look for tiebreakers. I believe that we need to be doing these things for the bubble. I'm not trying to finish 5th or 6th in the ACC and say like, hey, that's a nice. This team has enough depth to it, enough smarts to it, that I think they could be scrappy enough to be a bubble team. But
I'm of that mindset too.
It's totally squadouche, though, if you go 0-4 against A&M, Georgia, Houston, and Dayton. You got to win 2 of them, I think, in order to continue that conversation. You got to have not just quality losses like the College Football Playoff Selection Committee likes to reward. You got to have a couple of wins, too, in these scenarios in order to make yourself a little bit more attractive, because the ACC doesn't hold its weight with any consistency anymore in basketball.
Well, I tell you, Tom, I think we're going to win 3 of 4. I think we're gonna go on a run.
Well, then you would need to choke a tournament bid away. If you win 3 out of these 4 games against A&M, Georgia, Houston, and Dayton,
we're gonna beat A&M, Georgia, and Dayton.
Wow. Okay.
Get you some.
I know where you're going to be next Tuesday. It's a 9 p.m. tip next Tuesday, so get your nap in.
Yeah, that's way past my bedtime. At least the second half will be. Hour number 3 serves as game day, Warchant game day. It's next. Stay tuned.